So here I have my clay slabs and I want to start constructing the pieces of my box that I need. So I've already created my templates. My templates are going to be used to know that my container is going to come together correctly. So this is the top of my container and here's my clay slab and it just barely fits on there. So if yours is a little bit too small, see how it's a very irregular shape? You can kind of pick it up and stretch it out just a little bit. Don't stretch it big time, but you can stretch it out just a little bit if it's just a little on the small side. And I'm going to trace around it with a cutting tool. So we have all these tools here. Find one of the gray ones, and you can either use this side here that looks a little more like a knife, or you can just use the back, which is a nice sharp edge. And you're gonna hold your template really nice and still and dig your tool all the way down to the canvas. And you're just gonna go like that and pull off that extra like that. So I'm gonna cut around it like this. Be careful when you're cutting around curved shapes, they're much harder to cut out. I'm gonna do like this. And then the last part here. Perfect. So now this is the bottom of my container. If you have edges like this that didn't turn out perfectly, that is fine. We're gonna be adding a lot of things to this, so don't worry about little corners like that. So there's the bottom piece. So what I have to do out of my other slab is I need to get as many of the walls out of it as I can. Should be the exact same length as that, and it is. Okay, set it over here. Don't set it on top of your other clay or else it's gonna stick. Should be exactly the same length as here, and it is. So now that I've cut some of my pieces out, I don't have all of my pieces, but I have some of them. So what I need to do now is score and slip and then attach. I got a little dent right there. Just smooth it out with your finger. I need to score and slip and then attach. So I'm gonna take my bottom piece. This is the bottom, so it's always gonna stay on the bottom. And what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to score. Score means when you take your sharp kind of knife type tool and you're gonna act like you're keeping score in a game, or tally marks. So you're basically going to rough up whichever edge you're going to be attaching something to. So this edge right here, I'm gonna be attaching my long side to, so I'm gonna rough it up like this. Like tally marks, like you're keeping score. Oops. And then you have to do the same thing on the edge of whichever piece you're going to be attaching to it. So if I'm gonna attach this edge to this piece, I need to score that side as well. So I'm gonna go like this. And just put little tally marks, mess it up basically. What you're trying to do is create two pieces that are gonna grab each other when they dry. So after you have scored it, you're then going to use slip. Slip is a fancy word for water. Think of it as your glue. So I'm going to dab glue on here. You don't wanna rub it in because then you're gonna get rid of all those cracks you just created. And we're not trying to smooth it, we're trying to make it rough. But now we need to add water. So I have water on both parts. Think of it like you have glue on both parts, and you're gonna take it and you're going to place it where it needs to go. So I'm gonna place it on top of right here. And you have to give it a pretty good push to try to get this to stay for now. It's not gonna stay perfectly still because it's pretty wet clay. So it's gonna keep trying to bend and collapse on you like this right here. So we're just gonna give it a pretty good push for now. And it's not gonna stay forever because see that line where they come together and how it just keeps wanting to separate? So we need to get rid of that line where the two pieces are separating. So here's how we're gonna do that. I'm gonna put this down. This is gonna be a little hard for you to see until I can hold it up. I'm gonna take some of my extra clay over here and I'm going to roll a coil. A coil means like a snake of clay. So take some of your extra clay and roll it into a coil like that. It needs to be as long as the crack you're trying to repair. So you can roll it on the table if you need to. So I'm gonna go like that. I'm gonna take my coil and I'm gonna put it here in that crease where I want that line to go away. So like that. Give it a good push. You really wanna push it in there. And then here's the most important part. You have to smooth this down and smooth it up. So that means that I'm going to use this to keep those two pieces together forever. So really cram it in there, cram it into that corner. And then you're gonna take one of your tools like this. Ooh. And you're going to smooth some of it down like that. And you really want to smooth it into that bottom. So I'm actually getting rid of any sign that it was ever here. So smooth it all the way away. And you also have to smooth the rest of it. I know you won't be able to see this, but you have to smooth the rest of it up. So we're getting rid of that line where the two came together. I'm gonna hold this up so you can see it. Like that. I know it's not the smoothest thing in the world, but then you can take your finger and just smooth away any sign that there were ever two pieces instead of one here. See how now it's one piece of clay? Can you see what I'm doing? There. So this is not yet fused together. It's gonna fall right apart. This, we're getting there, okay? So you have to do that to the whole piece, the whole coil. You're gonna smooth half of it down. Use whichever tool works for you, or you can use a finger. Or when I have long fingernails, sometimes I use the back of my fingernail and I go like that, but tools work too. So I'm gonna go smooth it down and then smooth it up. See how my other hand is holding the wall up? If you don't do that, it's just gonna fall right over. So you wanna make sure you're holding that wall steady. It's gonna keep trying to fall over on you. I keep getting dry clay from the tool. Whoops. I don't want dry clay. Okay, and then once I've used my tool as much as I can, I'm going to wet my finger a little bit. I'm gonna really smooth that down. Smooth, 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 so that you can't tell where those two pieces came together. So wet your finger, get rid of all those cracks and all those lines where the two came together. If you accidentally gouged anything with your tool and put a little mark in it, you can just use that water to smooth that away. So now it's gonna stay a little bit better. See that? So now it's standing up. One thing you might have to do is pick up your container. It's not really a container yet, but see how we can still see this line on the outside? So we do need to get rid of that as well. You don't have to add any clay to it unless you really want to, but what you can just do is I'm just gonna use my finger. I'm gonna kind of just smush the clay down over that crack. Smush, 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 down over that crack. We kind of got rid of it a little bit here, but I'm gonna keep using my finger and smush, smush, smush over that crack, get rid of that crack where the two came together. If you can see the line where they came together, then that's where it's going to break. So if it's still a crack from where the two came together, it's gonna crack in half when you try to dry it. You don't want cracked clay, you want your clay all in one piece. There we go. So get rid of that line where the two came together like that. You can use a little water and make it even smoother. Now that line's gone. This line's gone. My container should still stand like that. I'm gonna do the same thing to the sidewall, but this time I'm gonna score and slip to the bottom here, but I'm also gonna score and slip where these two come together.